D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025, The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Willie, Derek, and I are broadcasting live at the all-new Circus Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall. Head up here and watch the Chiefs-Jaguars Monday Night Football game tonight. Plus, find out more details on Circus giveaway of a trip to Las Vegas for the Titans-Raiders game this weekend. Gentlemen, I want to start the show by reintroducing two words that have not been next to each other in quite some time. Titans win. The Titans indeed won yesterday in what I would describe as the best worst football game I've ever watched. The Titans rallied to defeat the Arizona Cardinals 22-21. And as I watched this game, guys, as I saw Joey Sly kick the game-winning field goal, and let's all be honest with ourselves. Raise your hand if you thought Joey Sly was going to miss that field goal. I'll be honest with you.
From 29 yards out, you thought
he
was
missed
miss
an
it?
extra point earlier in the game.
34 yards out. 33 yards out.
Nevertheless,
It did veer right pretty quick.
It was close.
Yeah,
it was
fairly close.
But
yeah.
After the game-winning field goal swept through, I'm hearing myself there. There we go. Once the game-winning field goal made it through the uprights, my first reaction was, what the hell was that? In terms of, what the hell did I just watch? It was such an ugly game. But the beauty of that ugly game was that we finally got to see Cam Ward in a high-pressure situation, and he delivered. Fourth quarter, 13 of 18 for 193 yards. He did throw an interception, which turned into a touchdown for the Titans somehow. And then, of course, 2-minute drill, 5 of 6, 67 yards, and led the Titans down the field for that game-winning field goal. So we are going to talk about Cam Ward from all angles. The fact that Cam Ward engineered a game-winning drive doesn't erase what we saw from Cam Ward in the first 3 quarters. And it was rough, and we will talk about that. But let's start positively, because quite frankly, how often have we been able to talk positively about the Tennessee Titans? So, Willie, we'll start with you. What impressed you most about what Cam Ward did with the game on the line, being able to drive the Titans down the field for their first win in nearly a calendar year?
I think it was impressive that he went through the struggles and was still able to stay level-headed enough, stay poised enough to hit some big ones there. I thought, for the first time, probably did an adequate job of protecting him most of the day, and they definitely did late. He had, I think I went back and rewatched the game this morning. He had 85 yards passing with, I think, about 11 minutes to go in the game. So for 3+ quarters, he was under 100 yards passing. And so when you have those numbers, like, I know when I was a basketball player, if I was 1 for 8 from the field, or a batter that's 0 for 4, that fifth at bat, it's hard to have confidence, right? He stayed confident, and he did his best work. I thought the most positive thing, D-Mace, was that he showed a level where you said to yourself, okay, those are some wow throws. Mm-hmm. That's what a first-round pick or a high first-round pick is supposed to look like.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I can't hear myself. To me, they showed, a lot of resilience, I believe. A lot of, just heart in that game. They didn't give up. And I think what epitomized all of that was L'Jarius Sneed, the hustle with L'Jarius Sneed. Whether he touched the ball or not, I think the hustle sort of exemplified what they, sort of what that, after that, what that whole thing was about. Not giving up, being determined to get the job done. He didn't have to chase that guy from behind. We've dumped on L'Jarius Sneed all season from the standpoint of his play, not him as a person, but his play, and frankly warranted at times. But if I'm going to talk loud about his play being bad, I'm going to talk even louder about what he showed out there Sunday. Because a losing team, see, I think what people that play right there, what it showed me, whether they won or lost that game, when people start to question whether these athletes are, you know, are giving up, or
Yeah.
these athletes,
Mailing it
do
in.
do they even care? They make all this. Do they? L'Jarius Sneed was on the other side of the field. Had he just trotted it, wouldn't nobody said anything. That guy was clearly gone. Had he not tried, if he tried it and halfway, wouldn't nobody said anything. But he didn't do that. You saw him kick it in another gear because his mind was, it ain't over till it's over. Once that happened, that was the whole team's mindset. It ain't over till it's over. And that team fought back. Was it pretty? No. But at the end of the day, a win is a win. They don't go back and say, well, you had a pretty win. You had an ugly win. You know, this happened, that. No, they say you won. Do they got to get better in a lot of areas? Absolutely. That first half was bad. And some of it was Cam. But I don't know how people can look at the game, like really watch the game and look and say and blame some of these things that are going on in Cam Ward. Like I'm listening to Archuleta last night, and there were two balls dropped. One to Lockett, and I think the other one was to Iomanner or Ridley.
Helm
Helm,
dropped it dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's made it seem like it was Cam's fault. Well, he needs to.
Yeah.
That was a perfect pass
The one
in a
the
tight
example you're
window.
talking about was the one to Io Man.
Exactly. It was a tight window. That's what quarterbacks get paid to do. Throw it in tight window. They don't get paid to throw when the windows are as big as the sea. No, any quarterback can do that. They get paid to throw it in those tight windows. And that's what he was doing. Those guys didn't show up for him in the first half. And he did miss one. Actually, I think it was two corner routes to DK. Well, I know one was to DK. That would have been a huge game. He overthrew him. But after that, I think he started to settle in. And guys, I said this at the beginning. This is a team that doesn't have much top end talent. This is a team where they're going to be building for a while. But they do have some good players. And those good players need to play good all the time. They need to build. And that's what they were not doing for 3 quarters. They wasn't helping them out. And then once they start catching the ball, Ridley, Helm, Chig. Once they start catching the ball, making plays, those are the guys that the only way we're going to win is if y'all pick up the slack and do your job. If you don't do your job, we have no chance at winning. We're not a good team. We're not a team that can, we're not the Baltimore Ravens, even though they're bad right now. Where they're
bad because their six highest paid players were all out yesterday.
All of them. Yeah. But if Derrick Henry plays bad, they got enough good players around Derrick Henry to say, okay, we're good. We're still going to win. They still may beat you by 30 points. The Titans are nowhere near that. So the good players have to play good. And Calvin, really, I've always said this. It's not about making every catch, because every wide receiver ain't going to make every catch, but you got to make the catches that count. And yesterday he did that.
Can we just take a moment to recognize the Arizona Cardinals? If you are selling We Ass Titans t-shirts, can you please direct some of the proceeds to the Arizona Cardinals? Because they too are ass. And this has sort of been the Cardinals thing this season, but that team would have been up 27-6, pending the extra point, if the running back would have just carried the ball over the goal line. Derek, I can only imagine how much your blood was boiling watching that. And is it DeMarcado? He's not the only player who's been doing that recently. I think it happened the week before. Maybe A.D. Mitchell in Indianapolis may have done it the week before.
It's astonishing how often that happens, and I can't figure why. It happens in college. It happens in the pros. Would you say in the last 10 years, it's happened on an average of about once a year? And it should never happen ever.
Yeah,
It's not forced.
especially when you got replay and they can go back and watch it
Yeah.
over and over again. Every team at the beginning of the year, they should just show like
String them
30.
all together.
No,
Yeah.
they should show 30 clips of Barry Sanders scoring in the end zone. Barry Sanders, what did he used to do? Score and just get the ball to the refs. He didn't drop it. He didn't spike
Yeah.
it. Barry gave the ball to the refs. Take that mentality. I'm not saying get the ball to the refs, but carry the ball all the way in the end zone. And for some reason, they just don't do it. But hey, their loss, Titans game.
And I know that win probability statistics can be a bit sketchy sometimes, but the NFL tweeted this out yesterday. The Titans' average win probability of 12.1% in that game against the Cardinals is the lowest average win probability in a win since at least 2016. A
So
simple way,
it got to 12% win at one point in the game.
the average win probability was at 12.1% over the course of the entire game. Their average win probability
I guess
was
I don't understand that
12.1%.
because isn't it some? I've seen graphs where it fluctuates throughout. Like, and if there's when they were down 21-3, I'm sure it was down there.
Well, I don't have a PhD in mathematics, so unfortunately, I can't explain it that far.
It wasn't 12% when they had the ball with 4 minutes left. So I'm curious at what the low point was and what the high point
it
was.
was as low as 1.8%.
There you go. There you go. See, that's what I want to know exactly when it was 1.8.
So the NFL is arguing that this was the most improbable win of the past 9 years. Is basically what that's saying.
Improbable is a good word, I would say, based on a couple of things that happened in that game.
So
I love how Gene Steratore talked about the ABA. Team A has the ball, then Team B has the ball, then Team A gets the ball back.
And
Fortunately, the Titans were Team A, and they got the
Exactly.
ball back in the end zone.
that was, by the way, that play was the first time since 2009 when a team scored a touchdown on a play when they threw an interception. The Saints did it versus Washington in Week 13 of 2009. Robert Meacham, Tennessee ball, if I'm not mistaken, stripped Kareem Moore and returned a fumble 44 yards for a touchdown. So Drew Brees, I believe, was picked off. Meacham stripped the player who intercepted the ball and then took it back for a touchdown. I think that's how it went. I should remember
they drew
this.
it up.
Just like they drew it up. 615-737-1025. We want your reaction to the Titans win, something we haven't been able to discuss much around here lately. 22-21 against the Arizona Cardinals. Your thoughts on the crunch time performance of Cam Ward. 615-737-1025. We want to hear from you all show long. Our phone and text lines, of course, are always driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Mondays were made for Macero. Big screens, bold flavors, and all the football action from queso to kickoff. This is how Macero does game night. Macero Football Mondays in 12th South. Don't miss a snap.
For you personally to come back when it mattered, after a bit of a tough start, to come back and play the way you did, like how big is that for you personally?
It's really not that big to me, honestly. I played well previously in my career. I just got to be consistent at it. I think the second half, I really saw the field better in terms of just getting the ball out, letting my guys make plays. And I think Chig and Gunner, the tight ends, they did that along with the receiving corps.
That was Cam Ward yesterday after engineering a game-winning drive for his first NFL win, 22-21 against the Arizona Cardinals. By the way, Kyler Murray described it after the game as, quote, "How to lose a game 101," end quote. I mean, between the running back dropping the ball before he crossed the goal line, Kyler Murray getting donked in the face with a snap, what else happened in that game that I missed?
Well, those three plays right there. I mean, think about the context of when these things happen too. It's all three.
Mhm.
You could just use those three, but the unforgivable drop the ball, lay the ball out before you cross the goal line. That's 28-6 if he does that. Then the snap that hit Kyler Murray in the helmet. Like there used to be this great film. I don't know if NFL Films still does football follies, but you could have had a whole reel of football follies in this game. But Kyler Murray, at the time he got hit with that snap that he wasn't expecting, and he fumbles it, and the Titans recover. They're about to go in and score. They're minimum going to get a field goal, and they had done well in the red zone in that game. So they're not only giving the ball up, they're sacrificing points there, and then the ABA play. I'm thinking of the Flint Tropics. The ABA, Will Ferrell, Jackie Moon, semi-pro. But those three plays, I mean, that's enormous points right there. That's it. The improbability. I mean, that's why I'm curious about the low point. I don't know where they hit the low
1.8%?
probability. Yeah, the 1.8% that it was in there somewhere.
That's a good question. Let's get your reaction on our text line, 615-737-1025. One texter says, he was at the game. He looked horrid. Cam Ward, that is, in the first three quarters, but the fourth quarter was dynamic. Another texter says, if you saw the guys on the sideline and how they were still talking and being together, you can't tell me this team does not want to play and fight for Coach Callahan. It's too many youngsters still learning and finding their way. We are going to be okay. May just take a couple of years, so buckle up and take the ride. Now, that is one thing that I will put in Brian Callahan's corner. And Derek, you've mentioned this in the past, but I think it was evident yesterday. Brian Callahan certainly has his shortcomings as an NFL head coach. I would venture to guess that unless the Titans engineer an incredible turnaround over the rest of the season, he is not going to be the head coach of this team at the end of the season. But one thing that you cannot say is that his players have quit on him, because there were plenty of opportunities, not just yesterday, but over the past 5 weeks, where if the team wanted to roll over, it could have. But the fact that they rebounded, and yes, some of you have texted this, let's make it clear. The Cardinals played just as big of a role in the Titans' win as the Titans did. The Titans benefited from the Cardinals, for lack of a better phrase, throwing up all over themselves. The Titans benefited from that. But one thing that you can't say about Brian Callahan, he deserves a lot of criticism. But you can't say, Derek, that his players have quit on him.
No, I don't think you can. I think a lot of it was evident on how hard they fought. To even when, it seemed like everything was done. You're going in for what would have been a crushing touchdown. It probably would have ended the game. But you got guys still hustling out there. And for whatever reason, the football guys said, because of your hustle, I am going to grant you said wish. And that wish is a fumble. And that's what they got, a fumble touchback. And you go the other way. See, what people got to understand is this. You say that the Cardinals basically gave the ball away. Well, the Titans gave the ball away too. They had 2 turnovers. They turned the ball over twice. Again, it ended up working out where, they still end up -1, but it sort of evened itself out because the fumble led to a touchdown, which led to another touchdown field goal, and they ended up winning the game. But I think this was about a team continuing to fight. Not that Arizona gave them the game. They fought and took the game because they still had to go down and score. That's what people fail to realize. They hadn't done anything for a whole 2.5 quarters, basically 3. But they still had to go out there and run those same tired ass plays that y'all have been talking about. And you know what happened? They started to work. They continued to fight, chip away, chip away, chip away. And what happens when you chip away and you continue to fight? And you become like some coordinator said, you become sort of don't get bored with doing the boring things. That's what Cam Ward didn't get bored with doing, taking the check downs. He did try to force the ball in there, but even that ball, after I watched it, it was tipped. And I know who he was going to. And it didn't get to that guy because the ball was tipped. He ended up getting an interception, but they ended up getting it back. But this team continued to fight. And if they can play this way or halfway this way, if that even makes sense. But if they can give half the effort, let's say, that they gave yesterday, then this team is going to be better off moving forward. I'm not saying they're going to sit here and win every game because they probably end up losing next week. I hope they don't. But knowing the Titans, like they did last year, had a big win. What did they do? Came back and got their tails kicked, and they blamed it on the big high from the last week. Well, I hope that doesn't happen this time.
I mean, by the way, the Titans' next opponent, the Las Vegas Raiders, lost 40-6 to the Indianapolis Colts yesterday. So, 2 teams coming off of much different experiences this Sunday in Las Vegas.
I just checked the line on that. What do you think it is?
Ooh.
The early line.
Raiders by
Titans at Raiders.
Raiders by 4.5.
I would say 5.5.
Adam is right. 4.5 as we sit here today. We'll see if that fluctuates, but I'm curious. It did. I asked Adam this question. Adam and I watched the game yesterday, and I said, this Cardinals team was the weakest team that they had played so far, I think, talent-wise, going into the game. Even though the Cardinals' record, they played, you just mentioned, they've lost some heartbreakers here. They're just a couple of bounces here and there. They probably feel like they should be better than they are, but I don't look at that team. They had some injury issues too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're missing some guys. That was an opportunity for the Titans, and like you said, Derek, it was weird. They were it, but they found a way. I look at the Raiders, and then you got the Patriots, who are coming off a huge win.
Mm-hmm.
But the next 2 games, I think, are, along with this Cardinals game, are a pretty good gauge of where is the roster when you're playing against a little bit of a weaker opponent than you did. I think the force for, because I think the Texans are showing that they were 0-3 when they played the Titans, but they've still got a lot that they're bringing to the table.
They opened up a can of whoop ass on the Ravens.
Yeah.
Cody has an interesting question, and we will get more into this over the course of the program. How do the Titans unlock the Cam Ward we saw in the last 8.5 minutes of the game? Prior to that, Ward's footwork, not taking what is given, holding the ball, and not running killed the offense.
What did you think, D-Mace, of they tried to diversify their formations? We have talked about this for a couple weeks, but they started doing it yesterday. A lot more under center in the first half. They seemed to be committed to the running game early. They kind of tailed off, and of course they got behind. It's hard to keep running. But they used more big formations, 2 tight ends, sometimes 3 tight ends. They used Julius Chestnut as a fullback, 2 back sets. I hadn't seen that all year. And so did you think that set the table? Is that something they can build off of? Even though they didn't score a whole lot, it seems like when they went shotgun behind, they started slinging it and started working.
I think they're able now, and this is why I think Tajay Spears is going to be so important moving forward, because now they can use 2 back sets with he and Pollard in the game, and still be able to run the football or pass the football with the outlet being the running back, and then you leave a running back in there that is capable of blocking one of these guys that comes off the edge. And then offensive line, I think they got underneath center. The offensive line showed yesterday that they were able to handle the Cardinals' defensive line. They did a wonderful job, and I'm gonna call it wonderful because prior to that it wasn't. So I'm gonna give them their props. They did a wonderful job at blocking for Cam and giving him time to throw, and that shows you that if this kid has time to throw, he's going to look good and the team's going to be able to flourish. But yeah, you're right. They did multiple sets, different personnels. I I think what is starting to happen now, hopefully, is that the OC and Cam are building a relationship, um, game time relationship. And what I mean by game time relationship is calling the plays for him. Like he wasn't prior to that. Yeah, they had a relationship, but it wasn't like that serious intimate relationship. The intimate relationship is when I got to call plays for you, game time. I think the more that grows, I think the better this team will be. And it might just work out whether again, I'm not saying they're going to sit here and go on a 5-game win streak, but this might work out from this standpoint. If he continues to show development, Brian Callahan gets to be a head coach. I think Brian can't call play. I wouldn't pay him to call plays for me if I ain't had nobody else to call. Why? Because he's never did it. And he showed when he did it, it wasn't working right. But what he is showing now that he's just taking on the role as a head coach, he seems to be settling in that role better than he settled in the role of play caller. So this may help him.
Derek, there were multiple impressive passes from Cam Ward in the fourth quarter. There was the 38-yard pass to Calvin Ridley that helped set up the game-winning field goal. But even on the drive that made it 21-12 before Joey Sly missed the extra point, Ward had a 47-yard pass to Calvin Ridley and a gorgeous pass on the sideline to Gunnar Helm. Which of those three passes, the first one to Ridley, the one to Helm, or the one to Ridley on the final drive, impressed you most from Cam Ward?
I think the one that Gunnar Helm. He had to drop that in a shoebox.
Now, what's interesting about that pass, Willie, is Cam Ward was hit as he threw that. Mm-hmm. And you wondered as we were watching the game yesterday if perhaps he put a little bit more touch on it because it was affected by the hit, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes. And it was the announcers didn't really pick up on it, I thought, in the game. To your point, D-Mace, that was not the number
Derek
one.
Mason is not an Adam Archuleta fan.
Yeah,
Let's just put it to you that way.
They seem to be oblivious that his arm got hit. It was obvious. They were like, what a wobbly pass. Well, his arm was hit as he threw it, but it ended up having touch on it. Yeah. And Brian Callahan, I thought it was interesting how he acknowledged that something that Cam needs to continue to work on is throwing more, as he called it, a more catchable ball. Remember my hypothesis. I used the big word. We don't have the bell. Ding.
Ding.
Ding. He throws these heaters, right? And it's all on the receivers as they get two hands on it. But these high heaters, where the window's small, so you got traffic around you and you got to haul it in, it's a high degree of difficulty. If you can put a little more touch on it as he gets better and more experience, that will help him. That one, ironically, had a little more air under it, and he was able to haul it in. He had just enough space, and that was a great catch by Helm.
Yeah, Helm, this is what they've been asking for, these young tight ends, because they raved about these tight ends during preseason. And, that group being one of the groups that has developed the way that they've wanted them to. So these guys have to be more involved in what's going on. And again, I think now that you have a new play caller, I think you got a new set of eyes on what you truly have, and they're going to start using. Hopefully, they'll start using those tight ends a lot more. But that corner, I mean, that route and that throw to Gunnar Helm was hopefully it will help the passing game, but it will help he and Gunnar Helm to build a rapport, because catches like that helps quarterbacks gain confidence in you. And they're going to start coming back to you more and more and more. He's going to get used to making those types of catches. So hopefully that catch in that moment propels him and Cam Ward in that connection.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction on the Titans' 22-21 improbable win against the Arizona Cardinals yesterday in Glendale. 615-737-1025. Teron Davenport normally joins us at 3:40. Because of his ESPN NFL Nation duties, he will join us at 4:20. So Teron Davenport, instead of 3:40, will join us later in the program at 4:20. 615-737-1025. Hey, Titans fans, and you can come and hang out with the crew from 1025 The Game at the Overhang Bar at Circa in Las Vegas. Derek Mason will be there. Chase McCabe and Big Joe Dubin will be in Las Vegas for the Raiders-Titans game this weekend. So if you're going to the game in Las Vegas, you can hang out with the three of them at the Overhang Bar at Circa in Las Vegas. Drink specials are included, plus giveaways, including 2 tickets to the Titans Raiders game. Go to circalasvegas.com for more information.
Derek Mason here. If you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you. So they will help you get it all repaired, or better yet, replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event, or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Houston, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 212 621st Ave South. That's the Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
He when you come down on the guys need to be able to catch balls that are in catchable range versus sometimes he seems to throw 100 miles an hour when he doesn't necessarily have.
That's part of it. You know, there's a part of throwing catchable footballs, and he's got an unbelievably twitchy release and really natural body torque when he throws. And there's learning how to layer those throws and learning how to take a little bit off. And again, that's all part of his growth process over the course of these games. And I thought in this game it was really, really good, consistently throwing the ball catchable in the spots that needed to be put in for the most part. So again, he's learning every time he goes out there, and he's improving every time he takes the field, and been pretty pleased with the rate of improvement.
That was Brian Callahan earlier today talking about Cam Ward after the Titans win 22-21 against the Arizona Cardinals as Cam Ward notches his first career NFL win. Our show is presented by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate right now at baxhomeworks.com. So, not to take anything away from what Cam Ward did in the fourth quarter, because he was outstanding in the fourth quarter. Again, 13 of 18 passing, 193 yards. He did throw an interception that somehow became a touchdown. He was 5 of 6 in the 2-minute drill to lead the Titans down the field for Joey Sly to hit the game-winning field goal. But before the fourth quarter, he was 8 for 21 for 72 yards. And as I was watching the game, I was thinking more and more about how his inaccuracy is becoming a glaring issue, but there's nuance to this discussion because how much of it, is on Cam Ward? How much of it is it on the offensive line and keeping Cam from being constantly under pressure? And the offensive line, by the way, did an outstanding job relative to the first 4 weeks of the season of keeping Cam from running for his life on a lot of plays. How much of it is on the receivers and their inability to catch the ball? So, Derek, when you look at Cam Ward's performance over the course of the season, because he still has the worst completion percentage of any qualified quarterback in the NFL, how much of it do you put on Cam and the way he throws the ball? How much do you put on the offensive line and protecting Cam Ward? How much do you put it on the receivers, maybe not getting separation or not being able to catch catchable balls? It's again, it's nuanced. But when you're thinking about all of this, where do you place the blame first? I guess you could say.
I think everybody has their share in why this thing isn't working the way it needs to or the way they thought it would. Listen, your good players to great players, they have to play that way majority of the time. And on offense, that just hasn't happened from a receiver standpoint. He's put many balls in the hands and in the chest of receivers, and they dropped them. That goes along with the offensive line, not doing their part consistently enough to where your quarterback can find some type of piece in the pocket. That hasn't happened. And then when that has happened, when he's found peace in the pocket or the receiver has run the right route, at times, hasn't been many, not to a point where I'm concerned, he has overthrown a ball or hasn't quite connected with a receiver. Like I said, yesterday he had 2 corner routes that I don't think he's ever thrown to either one of them. And I think both of them were to DK on the same drive. And he overthrew both of them. I could say, well, was the receiver supposed to take it a little bit higher? Because we're taught when you're aiming for the near pylon. That's where you're aiming, near to far pylon, meaning the pylon's in the end zone. When we come out of our corner break and let the quarterback lead us down, it seemed like he may have not went at the corner, but then again, Cam could have just overthrown it. I am going to lean on Cam just overthrew it. So those are instances where I think he will get better because Brian Callahan said it. Listen, he's coming out there and he's developing each and every time he goes out there. Rarely is he making the same mistake over and over again. So that tells me that he's going to connect with Alec Almanor and DK eventually, more so DK, because he's connected with Almanor a few times. He's starting to fill out Ridley again. He's starting to fill out Gunnar Helm on these deep passes because it's really the deep balls and that middle ball down because he loves to throw that shot down the rails.
Yeah,
he loves it, and he could put it in there. that's
With
where
some heat on it.
exactly that's where they need to build more of a rapport, because what you see is a high hot ball. I see a ball should be caught, but I also see that if they work on that enough,
It should get better.
it should get better.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
From both
that's
ends.
for both ends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of. I look at it from the standpoint of a player. Like if I'm sitting in the meeting rooms, what am I hearing and seeing the coaches say in here? Well, I'm hearing these same things that I'm telling everybody. Those are the things that we're hearing. It's like it's everybody. It's not necessarily one individual, one group.
I thought that was great detail by Callahan in that clip we played, that he acknowledged that there's room for improvement and that it is a unique release. When you watch Cam Ward, I'm trying to think, and Adam, you and I had this conversation while the game was going on yesterday, is we're trying to take, because this is the big picture question, try to take all of the adversity around him right now aside and ask yourself, how good can this kid be? Because everything is riding on him. He's got to get there for this to work. It's going to be hard enough to build the roster from where it is, but it all is predicated on Cam Ward being the guy. I think we've seen enough. He's going to be okay. He's going to be good, but is he going to be really good? Is he going to be great? Is he going to be special? And so I think his unique release is going to be something that he's got to continue to refine and get better at. There are times in the game where I feel like that release serves him well, like you talked about, that 47-yard dart. Not a lot of guys can throw it like that. There's another throw that he makes weekly that maybe they should run more, but from under center, it's a 5 or 7 step drop. He'll throw it from the far hash on a laser across. He hits Ridley early in the game on it to get him out of trouble. They were backed up. He throws that like it's easy. That's a hard throw. He throws lasers that way. There's certain throws he makes that are really good, but the touch throws and some of the easy, I don't want to say easy because he's got tight windows to throw in sometimes. Just a little bit better mechanics. He throws off his back foot a little bit, or he drops his arm angle a little bit, and it's just not quite there. And it's got a lot of heat on it. So that's one I'm looking for. But there's several things that I want to see get better, and that's one of them.
Let's go to Scott on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Scott, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, guys? I'm
Good.
calling from Clarksville. In reference to Cam Ward throwing the ball in the ears and touch and all that, I'm just curious, what y'all's opinion on, didn't Restrepo catch his balls just fine? I kind of want to hear a little bit about that, Restrepo and all of his completions and records in Miami. I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Scott. Oh, boy. This is not meant to be disrespectful to Scott at all. Thank you for the call, Scott. I can't.
Scott is not alone.
I can't.
I feel like we
speak
need
to the Xavier Restrepo element of it because Xavier.
Is there a
Restrepo,
fan club? Is there a fan club of the Restrepros? Because we get this.
The streps.
Yeah,
the
we get it. We
the
get it.
strep
Right?
throaters. The strep
Yeah.
throaters.
The streps. I mean, listen. Eventually, if he's meant to be in this at this level, he'll be here.
I think Scott's point is Xavier Restrepo didn't have issues catching these passes. Theoretically,
and that's what I mean. That's what he said exactly what I was thinking. Like, okay, everybody want to make a big deal, but I didn't hear his receivers at Washington State. Was it Washington?
Washington
State or Miami complain about he throw hard.
But it's a different
balls.
game, right? It's a different.
It's still
The
same
speed's
ball.
different. The window's different. There's more open guys. There's
Yeah.
less margin for error.
But that arm strength is still the same.
You're
ball's still
saying that
coming
his
out.
release is the same. The velocity at times was the same, right?
Yeah, I'm saying if
Was he more accurate because he had more time?
that
Maybe.
could be a possibility. But
It's a good question.
it is. But
yeah.
but that's not one of the things.
I'm going by
that-
what I'm seeing
Yeah.
on Sundays,
No,
not
no,
Saturdays.
right?
I
I understand that part. I never heard like Callahan speak on, even when they brought him in on, some, even at the beginning, it's like some things that this is what he does well, or this is what he don't, he need to taper back.
Well,
It
you
seems
said
like-
it. You and I at one of the early days of training camp about the dropping down.
Oh
And
yeah,
that
that
does hurt him sometimes.
It does. But
He's had less success than success
I think,
when he has dropped down
No,
on
you're
tip
right.
balls, on inaccurate balls. that has hurt him so far.
No.
Just
I
like
think
you thought it would in the training
I
camp.
think what he's gotten better, and this is going to be an ongoing thing for him, I think, for a while, because it's so ingrained on who he is. And it's a good thing that he's never in a position where he can't throw the football from an arm standpoint. So it's good from that theory. But also, it could get you in trouble, like you said. I just want to see him. I don't want them to say take that away.
Right.
I just want him to, like you said, refine it just a little bit to whereas, okay, it still looks the same, but it's getting over now because maybe he's changed something in that throwing.
615-737-1025 if you want to react to the Titans win against Arizona yesterday. One texter says there was an earlier drop, in quotations, by Gunnar Helm that looked like Cam had no zip on the ball whatsoever. I wonder if this was the catchable ball conversation getting in his head.
Well, you said that whoever keeps the drops, PFF, and it's subjective to a degree, right? We can, like D-Mace
I'm more harsh.
definitely had Eric Iomanner having a drop.
Yes.
2 drops for the Titans yesterday, according to Pro Football Focus. One by Tyler Lockett, one by Gunnar Helm.
Right. So if D-Mace was doing it, he would have had at least one more because
Yes.
he had Iomanner. He was texting us going, you got to have that.
You got to have that. That's a drop. That's
right. So Helm did have a drop, I guess was my point when you were saying on the one that the texter is talking about there.
So they just counted Gunnar Helm and
one for Gunnar Helm, one for Tyler Lockett.
The Lockett was an easy one,
and
he was upset with himself right away.
That was the easy one. Yeah.
One listener on our YouTube chat says the Strep Throaters is kind of a wild nickname for this group. I'm going to be honest, Adam. Well, I will take suggestions for the Xavier. Well, it's got to be some play on strep throat.
You want to catch the strep?
I've had strep. It's not great.
Okay, so here's another example,
yes.
Adam, as we close. Because you talked about something yesterday. You brought this up on the air before. We wish we could see velocity of each.
I am
passer.
dying to know.
And that's football has been played for 100 years. And when I was growing up as a kid, in baseball, they had some early. They didn't have every pitch on the scoreboard, how fast it was. Now they do. Of course, now they even have the movement, how many inches it's moving, vertical, horizontal, all of that. But way before, they at least had the miles per hour.
Yeah.
Is way back 40 years ago they had that. But in football, they have never put the velocity of a passer, how hard he throws.
They would probably have to put a chip in the ball,
yeah,
which I think eventually they will get to.
Could they have a radar gun somewhere on the sideline? I'm curious because like in hockey now they track how fast the shot comes in.
Yes.
So there was a play where Iomanner, not the one that D-Mace thought he should have had, where he had both hands, he pulled it in, couldn't keep it in there. The guy tried to knock it out last second. I think it went as a pass breakup. They gave the defender the benefit of the doubt. But there was another one where Iomanner is reaching. He gets his fingertips on it. It's a heater. It's exactly the one we're talking about. It's a little bit sidearm. It's a slant. You thought he should have caught it.
Yes, that one was a drop.
But it wasn't a perfect pass. It was a tight window.
He got both
hands on it. So that's the one that they've got to get more connections with. That you're talking about, the connection between receiver and quarterback. They both have to get better. They're both young. Hopefully they're going to play together for a while, and that part will get better.
Exactly.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. I am dying to find out the average velocity of a pass in the NFL. The NFL's got to put a chip in that ball or something, because I would love to know if Cam Ward's average pass is faster than the average quarterback in the NFL. If somebody knows where you can find that, please let me know, because I am dying to know. 615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction. Coming up next, the Blue Raiders will take on Missouri State this Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Catch all of the action on Totally Hits 93.3, with coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. D-Mace, Fingan, and Donick 1025, The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. A couple of people have texted in on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, trying to answer the question that I had before the break. I am dying to know what the average velocity of an NFL pass is. One texter says, according to ChatGPT, I mean, consider the source, the average velocity for an NFL quarterback in 2025 is 50 to 60 miles an hour. However, higher end quarterbacks throw upwards of 60 mile an hour, like Patrick Mahomes and other quarterbacks of his tier. There was no next gen stats on Cam Ward, however, with throws. Another texter, Al, says average pass speed in the NFL is 50 to 60 miles an hour. Tom Brady averaged 45 to 49 miles an hour. However, he has thrown 61 miles an hour before.
Listen,
Right. There's different types of throws too.
We crank those things up, man.
The jug
Those
machine,
machines,
right?
we crank those things up 70, 60, 70 miles per hour. I mean, that's why you get your hands used to catching, a ball that's coming at that velocity. You get on a jug machine. That's why, listen, I understand what everybody's saying about the arm strength, but Dan Marino had one of the best arms in the world. You think he ever took it off? He just like, man, I got to get into these titles.
Right.
That's the
Elway really could bring
That's
it.
the
Yeah.
difference between, playing in this league and playing in college, is that when you're trying to throw it in a lot of those passes that were tight, they're tight passes. So I can't throw in there like without any velocity. I got to get it in there quickly. You should, from muscle memory as a receiver, muscle memory, you should be that's what you should be looking for anyway. You should never be surprised in the NFL when you're talking about tight windows, a ball coming too fast. You shouldn't be, because he has to throw it that fast to get it through that window.
D-Mace just has a high standard for receivers in
Yes.
general. Okay, so I'm trying to put that in perspective.
Understandably so.
But let me say this from the baseball perspective, right? There are guys where hitters will tell you a pitcher that there are some pitchers who might throw 97, 98 miles an hour, but the hitters are like, it's straight. It doesn't have movement. It's easy to hit, which would be good if you're a quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. There are pitchers that throw 91, 92. That's not considered very hard in this day and age, but it's got movement, it's got spin, and it's hard to hit. I would think that the same applies to some quarterbacks. There are some quarterbacks that, like the one I was growing up, Kenny Stabler always seemed to have that real soft touch.
Yes.
Brady definitely never seemed like he was really gunning it. Drew Brees, they didn't have rocket arms, but the ball was just there. It seemed very catchable. I do think that there are some, regardless of velocity, some guys' ball is easier to catch than others, I think. Don't you think that's in general?
In general, I think there are sort of easier.
And I wonder
balls
where
in a
Cam
sense.
fits on that.
Well, let
on
me
that
ask
spectrum.
you this question, Derek, as someone who actually has caught passes in the NFL. First of all, just because I'm curious, which quarterback who you played with had the fastest ball?
Whew. Goodness, boy, oh boy. I think it would be Joe or Steve, but there's been some other guys in there. Shoot, I can go all the way back to my Tony Banks. He threw a fastball. But yeah, hey, so either one.
Are we making too much of this? Like, I find it to be interesting. I really do, and I would love.
It's a key question.
It is
long term.
It is,
and that's what this is all about. Is long term. They won yesterday. Great. They're 1-4. The coach is under fire. Whatever. But in the big picture, these are to me the most important thing.
My novice opinion on this subject, Derek, is, because I trust you since you did this at the highest level, shouldn't receivers in the NFL be able to catch balls at all different kinds of speeds? Like that's my question about this. Like, I'm not discounting the fact that Cam Ward seems to throw a hard ball, and that's something that he is going to have to adjust. But I'm just wondering, like, is there too much focus on that when discussing his inaccuracy through 5 games of his NFL career?
Listen, you're always going to find something, especially with a rookie quarterback, with a team that has been struggling, to try to identify why it's not working. If this passing game was working, then Not to say that, the concern from some people that maybe you should take a look, not to say that it's not there, or it may not, it may be a problem, but our offense is clicking. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Everybody catching balls. Everybody's happy. We scoring points. The ball's getting to the player. The player's getting up the field. That's what it's about. Um, you don't, it's hard to, the only time that comes into play is, say, if I'm running a shallow cross, um, and I'm really 2 yards down the field going on shallow cross, and I'm building. And the part that makes it difficult, see, this is what people don't understand, and I try to get them to understand it, but they're just looking at, oh, it's a fastball. It has nothing really to do with the fastball. It's the hands that come along that's diverting, trying to, that's distracting you when that fastball is coming. It's not about the fastball, because hell, if there's nobody between me and Cam Ward, he throws a fastball, I'm good. I see it coming. There's no problem. It's just like being a jug machine. But the problem here is that as I'm going across on my shallow cross, there are 4 or 5 guys that are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds. They're sticking their hands up trying to, and you got to pick up the ball through all of that. So it's not that it's coming fast. It's just there's other things that are in my way that I got to try to fight through to concentrate on the ball. So he has to throw the ball with some type of velocity in situations like that. You don't want it to be every time where he's throwing heaters and you 2 yards away. No, but there are going to be times where he has to do that to get it through the arms of these defensive linemen. Now, when you get downfield, 20 yards downfield, you shouldn't be crying about how hard he's throwing the ball, because he has to throw it that hard. 15 yards down the field, 10 yards down the field. He has to throw it wide, because in this league, from me to you, Willie, if y'all can see this on the YouTube TV, this is a blown coverage right here. This is definitely a blown coverage. Anything closer to that is open. So I got to throw the ball with velocity.
You got to get it in the window.
I got to get in that window.
Let's go to Dustin in Hopkinsville on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Dustin, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, guys. So I'll just say both parties are right. Like, Cam could throw a little softer ball sometimes over the middle. And really what it comes down to is distance between Cam and his receiver, and are they in stride? Are they facing him flush? If they're catching it and it's hitting their chest, yeah, he should be able to throw that ball as hard as he can, and they catch it, and they should put both hands on it. It's like having a third hand. The basket is the chest. The hands pull the ball together, and they hold it there. Cam's just going to have to get better at that. But these are – I look at Ridley and 3 rookies he's throwing to. 3 rookies he has never played with other than these, 5 games?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we have not been throwing to these guys frequently. We've seen the most throwing to these rookies, what we've been begging and asking for this last game. And it took 3 quarters, and they finally, in the 4th quarter, something clicked. Gunnar Helm dropped that ball, okay? But then he went back and caught that deep ball, which he had more time to see it in the air and adjust to it. And, I mean, it wasn't like he was watching it the whole time. He turned around, it was right there, and he caught a miraculous catch. But this is up to Borgonzi to go out and get guys with big hands, known to catch the dang ball. You know what you've got in Cam Ward, big players that help Cam Ward. Like, it's really not a problem for me, because I thought you said Patrick Mahomes had like a 60-mile-an-hour fastball, and D-Mace just says that they put it in the judge machine at 70, 75 miles per hour. This should not be an issue once these guys gel, and it's really between the ears more than anything. It's a confidence issue.
Okay,
thank you for the call, Dustin.
Let's take that back to you, D-Mace, with because you've hit on this topic that the caller just brought up, and that is let them gel, right, as they work together. So let's take you and Steve McNair. Steve McNair, no question, he could bring it, right? He there was never any question about arm strength. How did he evolve on catchability? Did you notice a difference? Because his passing stats obviously grew each year he played.
I think with Steve, the more because you got to understand that offense that he had with Les Steckel, it wasn't, it was an offense to sort of help Steve grow. You had a damn good running back in Eddie George, damn good tight end in Frank Wycheck. And then Chris I think that was the year. Chris was the rookie. And that offense was more tailored to running the football, throw it to the tight end, and then we'll take a big shot with Chris. But I
Chris
think
Sanders.
Chris
just in
Sanders,
case
yes,
people are.
I'm sorry, people.
Yes, the same
Chris
Chris Sanders that we
yes.
make fun of every week.
Exactly. He was a big play magnet.
Yeah.
Okay. But then that offense was good to help Steve kind of grow and get him used to the NFL. Then they made a change with Heimerdinger, and that change helped Steve unlock some other things that he had. And once he got used to that offense, the players he was throwing it to, he knew how to when to take it off, when not to, when to zip it in there, who I can zip it in there to. So you learn that sort of through repetition with your players. Um, and really, it wasn't until that next following year that everything just really started to click.
Yeah. So presumably Cam could have that same kind of
Yeah,
thing
it could be the
happen over
same thing,
time.
and that's what you want to happen. And the caller mentioned it. He's throwing to 3 guys that are rookies. You want those rookies to elevate with Cam and develop with Cam.
Quickly, let's go to Tony on our phone line. Tony, thank you for calling and waiting. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think y'all probably was born when this was on, but y'all do remember the quarterback, Joe Gillum. They call him Jefferson Street Joe.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
One Monday night, they had a Monday night game. I forget who Pittsburgh was playing, and Fred Tarkenton and Howard Cosell was narrating, calling the game. And Cosell went off into this rant to where Starworth and Leon Swan said he threw the ball too hard. Said his ball, they couldn't catch the ball because it was thrown too hard. But the tight end, he caught everything Joe Gillum caught. But when he got through talking, Fran Talkington said, well, they get paid $100,000 a year. They should be able to catch it with their teeth. And said, last I heard, they caught it for free over on Jefferson Street.
Thank you for the call,
Thank
Tony.
you for Tony.
That's great.
He's
stuff.
right. Hey, listen, they paying you this money to catch the ball. You need to catch it.
That is good
Plain and
stuff.
simple.
For those that don't know, Joe Gilliam, who played at Tennessee State, some
Yes.
great teams.
Mhm.
There was a time for the Steel Curtain that Joe Gilliam got the starting job
Yes.
over Terry Bradshaw,
Mhm.
a young Terry Bradshaw, and they used him a year that they eventually won the Super Bowl. Gilliam started several games in the
Mhm.
season, and then Bradshaw eventually won the job back and, of
Exactly.
course, went on to be a Hall of Famer. But Joe Gilliam was a heck of a player back in the
Oh
day.
man, that was a funny story.
Yeah. Jefferson Street Joe.
I mean, to Tony's point, one texter said, good grief. Is this Charlie Brown texting in? These receivers get paid to catch the dang ball. Just do your job. They are in the NFL and are supposed to be the best of the best.
That's why it's for me. I'm grading it on a much different level because if you're watching it, some people are like, man, that was a hard catch or a difficult catch, and I'm looking at it like, no, it's not a difficult catch. Those are routine catches we make in practice. So maybe I need to understand that everybody doesn't see it like me. So when the and it's not even an argument, but when the conversation is brought up on Cam Ward maybe needing to taking some of the heat off the ball, then it's like, okay, I get it, but it's hard because it's like, dude, y'all get paid a lot of money, man, to catch this ball.
More than
Y'all need to-
$100,000.
and y'all need to catch it. And y'all ain't catching the ball hasn't changed. The ball hasn't changed. It's the same ball that I was catching in 2010, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that y'all are catching now. I mean, so I didn't complain about it. And y'all got better gloves than we have.
Those gloves are better. Those gloves are better.
615.
You don't have to use the stickum that
Exactly.
Fred Litnikoff used to use.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction on the Tennessee Titans, who win improbably 22-21 against the Arizona Cardinals. Coming up next, Teron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter, will join us. He was live in Glendale for the Titans win. We will get his thoughts on Cam Ward's passing and everything else Tennessee Titans related. That's coming up next with Teron Davenport. DVD is presented by Bax Homeworks. Financing options are available to make your remodel easier than you think with Bax Homeworks. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. Pleased to be joined on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, by ESPN, NFL Nation, Titans reporter Teron Davenport, who is presented by Bart Durham Injury Law and fueled by Parman Energy. Teron, I want to start with this. You've covered a lot of football games in your life. Was the Titans win yesterday the most improbable win you have ever witnessed?
Man, it's right up there. I would say if you go back to 2012 and the 49ers beating the Saints.
Don't remind me of that. Don't do that. Don't remind me of that. I'm a Saints fan. I don't want to hear that.
Hey, you asked for an example.
I did. That's true. I did ask for it.
Darren Sproles had the touchdown, and Vernon Davis had the tearful touchdown, and Alex Smith, he ran the 25 yards. That was weird. But this one right here, I mean, the 14, it was actually like what? The 24-point swing, right, of what looked like was going to be a touchdown because Ridley was open to it getting tipped and, Lockett recovering the fumble and then Embarcadero, look, I said it like the road in San Francisco. You know what I'm talking about, the Cardinals running back.
DeMarcado.
Fumbling out of there. Yeah, it was just a mess, man. Very unlikely, but, when you look at that Titans team, they got to take a win any way they can get it.
Teron, I like you too much, so I won't stay mad at you for bringing up that Saints 49ers playoff game from almost 15 years ago. But we were talking about Cam Ward's velocity because Brian Callahan addressed the catchable balls from Cam Ward today at the news conference you were at. We've been having a spirited conversation about Cam Ward's touch on the balls and whether that's contributing to his inaccuracy. When you look at all of the things that have led Cam Ward, the fourth quarter of yesterday's game notwithstanding, because he was outstanding in that fourth quarter, but he still has the worst completion percentage of any qualified quarterback in the NFL. How much of that do you think is on how hard and how fast he throws balls, generally speaking?
I don't think it's all on that. It has a little bit to do with it. You look at the lightning bolt he threw to the Chig Okonkwo a couple weeks ago. You look at the Broncos game, there were a couple ones that got up on the guys a little bit quickly, but for the most part, I don't think that's a huge issue. I think it's more of seeing it on time. You know what I mean? Like you look at that throw to Lockett on that 3rd and 4, I think it was. If he gets that in front of him or even on his body, that's a catch and turn up field to pick up yards. So to me, it's more on him putting where his eyes where they need to be and just being able to be on schedule with the, as Brian Callahan mentioned, the footwork as well as when he's supposed to throw.
Now, TD, there were more or seemed to be more packages used this game. Do you expect to see that moving forward? Because maybe that was, a way to, or can be a way to get Cam and those tight ends because they were critical toward the end of that game. Get he and those tight ends more familiar with one another when you're starting to bring in those double tight ends or those 2 running back sets. Now you can do it 2 because you have Tajay Spears back. Now you can go 2 back sets and still run the football.
Yeah, and that's the key, getting Spears back. You can do different things as far as motioning him to the slide or outside, wherever. And you pass the ball out of a more than likely run look, so you got that. I think you're going to start to see more things, and it's necessary because the packages were more or less limited to 11 personnel. And we know for a long time that's been the base. That's what the Bengals use all the time with Callahan there. The Titans have done it over the last couple of years, so it's kind of the DNA. But I do think they need to use more packages, and we'll see how they continue to do that. I would expect to see it.
Now, we understand that, Callahan had his troubles when he was both coordinator and head coach. But obviously, over the last 2 weeks, he's just held his head coaching duties. How have you seen the change in the last 2 weeks of him? Because to me, listen, they're still not a good team, but I think he's learning how to handle just being a head coach.
Yeah, I think that's something that he is learning, the operations part of it, and just being a CEO and orchestrating everything. That's something that he's learning, and it's to me, it's good to be able to, have that self awareness to know like, all right, this is an area for improvement. Let me get better and do the things, even if it's as embarrassing as giving up the play calling is, even if it's that, he's still doing it for the bigger cause, and that's to make sure this team is in a better position. So you got to respect that. I can't really put a finger on things that have truly changed, as far as like what's happening on the field or anything like that. But I will say he does, feel like he's more involved. And even Amani Hooker, he said that today, where they saw him at the different defensive meetings, and he's in there as a part of that, which is good.
Talking to Teron Davenport, and Teron, I got a couple of guys I want to ask you about because I'm still scouting big picture. Who do they have here? Who are they finding? Who's coming on? I've been pretty impressed with Cedric Gray the last couple of weeks. I noticed his tackle numbers are way up there. He always seems to be around the ball. What do they have in him, do you think? Is he a keeper?
Well, if you go back to pre-draft a couple of years ago, I raved about Cedric Gray. There were two linebackers I really liked. And it was Cedric Gray and Edgerton Jenkins, who's over there in Green Bay. And for me, it's the way he always finds the football. And there's just something to that. And I think when you look at the last couple of weeks, you're seeing a guy that's playing with a lot of energy. And it's funny because off the field, like I joke with him, I call him Cool Breeze. You know what I mean? Because he's like a very calm, reserved guy off the field. But he gets on there, and it's like that switch is hit. So you are right about that. I talked to him throughout the season, and the big thing that he said most times, like from the start, was everything is slowing down for him because he's finally able to just play as opposed to thinking too much. And when you think and do anything, you're slowed down.
So on the same token, I want to get your thoughts on Oladejo because I see him in the picture a lot. He's in the area, but finishing the plays, I see Gray finishing plays. I see him making tackles. I haven't seen Oladejo make as many plays. What's the next step for him?
Yeah, it's just that. You said it, finishing the play, right? Getting to the quarterback and taking him down. Right now, he's getting some pretty good rushes, and they're kind of getting, production off of that. He's not getting the number, but I think Femi is playing. I have to double-check the snap count because it had gone down a bit over the last 3 games. And that wasn't necessarily because of Femi as much as it was because they wanted to get more of Draymond Jones and playing inside, and they wanted to get Jihad Ward some more reps inside as well as where he got the sack yesterday. From the defensive end position. So there's room for improvement. He does have to get to the quarterback, but I think he's showing promise, and that's a good thing.
Could you argue that this is the best Jeffrey Simmons has ever played? How close is this to the best he's ever played?
I think it's the best that he's played, and that's saying a lot because you remember when he first popped on the scene, and he gave Marshall Yonder everything he wanted, and then he was folding, the Colts guard folding him up like a banquet chair. So you do have that, but you look at what he's doing now, man. The impact plays, and he's getting sacks, and I think this dude he's on a mission. I talked to him about his diet. He did a lot of body refinement and stuff like that, and the results are coming. And, it's, Brian Callahan can't stop raving about it.
I want to ask you one more, and that is on DK, because it really seems like he's starting to – number one, he's kept the confidence. We've seen a lot of young returners over the last few years. You can go right down the list that looked pretty good in the preseason. They won the job. Something goes wrong, they lose the confidence, and then they lose the job eventually. He looks like he's getting more confident. He's making good plays. He looks like a guy that could be a very successful 4th-round pick, even if he's just a really good return man. Hopefully there's more coming in the passing game.
Yeah, hopefully there is more. Like him running that deep over route from the slot Like I've been begging to see that for quite some time. But you're right. He has been a confident returner. Now the thing is, he hasn't had that moment, right, where he dropped a punt or a kick or anything like that. So we'll see how he responds to that. But one thing's for sure, he's going to make sure that even in a pinch, you know, when you got guys surrounding you in that little halo right there, you fair catch, he's going to secure the catch. And I think that's a good thing.
Teron, take us inside the Titans locker room yesterday after they won. You've been in a lot of losing locker rooms in recent years. So, first question, two-part question. First question, just take us inside. This is actually more of a statement than a question. Take us inside the locker room. I would love to get some descriptions of what you saw, and I also would love to know what you think this this win means, excuse me, for Brian Callahan. Not so much about is he, the hot seat stuff, but just considering what Brian Callahan has endured, some of it of his own making, what it meant for him to win the game yesterday.
Yeah, so when you look at this game and in the locker room specifically, it was, I'm not going to say it was a party, but guys were happy, and they had the music playing. And obviously it's like that after a win typically, but you could tell this win meant a lot because this is a team, they haven't won since week 12 of last season. You're talking about 10 games. You're talking about in danger of breaking the streak of consecutive losses for Titans franchise history. Not Titans scoreless, but Titans. So there's a lot on the line. Arden Key was all over the place. Really happy. Darrell Baker, L'Jarius Sneed, Calvin Ridley. He took time to talk to us. I think it was just a good environment. Corey Levin was excited. Peter Scarron. I'll put it this way: guys were present. Couldn't necessarily say that about the locker room every other time. You know what I mean? Like you really could take your pick of who you wanted to talk to, whereas in the past it's like, all right, well, he's here, so we got to go ahead and handle it with him then, So that was a good thing. As far as for Callahan, you could tell it's a relief. You could tell, and he even said it today, he's like the coffee tastes better. It's a little bit, it's easier to come talk to you guys and everything like that. So trust me, there's a bit of a relief there for sure.
Teron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter, has been our guest on D-Mays, Fingan, and Donick. He is presented each week by Bart Durham Injury Law and fueled by Parman Energy. Teron, great stuff as always, my friend. We'll catch up next week.
All right, for sure. Appreciate you guys.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction to the Titans' win yesterday in Arizona. But coming up next, we turn our attention toward another football game that we were all watching this weekend. Vanderbilt falls at Alabama. Where do the Commodores go from here? We will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Predators fans, Smashville Live returns tomorrow night at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs at 6 o'clock. Also, quick programming note, Barry Trotz begins his weekly interviews with our show tomorrow at 5 o'clock. But you can go to Smashville Live tomorrow at 6 o'clock at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs to see your Predator star players up close and personal. You can also get autographs and pictures. Tomorrow's guests will be the Knicks, Nick Hague and Nick Perbix. That's tomorrow night at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs and on 102.5 The Game. That was Diego Pavia after the Vanderbilt Commodores lost 30-14 at Alabama on Saturday afternoon. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. You heard Diego Pavia. They've just got to win out. But let's talk about the game at Alabama. As I said, the final score was 30-14. And had you not watched the game and just looked at the score at the end, Alabama beat Vanderbilt 30-14. Vanderbilt must stink. That 5-0 record was deceptive. That's not what happened. Vanderbilt, I thought, guys, showed that they belong in the same conversation as the Alabama Crimson Tide. The Crimson Tide are more talented, but Vanderbilt held its own in that game. The big difference, obviously, Diego Pavia, 2 red zone turnovers, 1 with Vanderbilt up 7-0, a fumble, and 1 an interception with Vanderbilt threatening down 20-14. That made the difference in the game. The Commodores, who had been outstanding in the red zone through 5 games, struggled to convert in that area, and Diego Pavia was a big part of it. And look, Alabama fans, man, they were waiting for Diego Pavia. They've been waiting for that game. They were waiting for that game for close to a year. And there was a viral video of some middle-aged drunk Alabama fan just giving Diego Pavia the business while some security guard who looked like an extra in a ZZ Top cover band just stood there and let this guy scream at Diego Pavia. To Pavia's credit, Pavia, he was going right back at this guy too. That's who he is, even in defeat. But Willie, my question for you is, where do the Commodores go from here? Vanderbilt does not play this week, hence why we are not talking to Clark Lee today. We will catch up with Clark Lee next Monday as the Commodores prepare to take on LSU.
Are we going to be talking to him at 4:00?
At 4:00? I sure
like
hope
it.
so.
Next Monday.
I sure hope so. We will talk to Clark Lee next week. But my question is, where do the Commodores go from here? Because their schedule remains tough, but I thought they showed a lot of gumption in that game that did get out of hand near the end. But I thought Vanderbilt showed that they aren't an also-ran in the SEC and that their 5-0 record was no fluke.
Well, I didn't even think it was out of hand at the end. They scored on the 4th down with 10 seconds left in the game to tack on.
Yeah,
that was an by the way,
we don't
cover
like
the spread,
it.
backdoor cover kind of thing. But it was a good game for 59 minutes and 30 seconds, really. So you remember what I said last week. I was the most curious to see in a hostile environment where everybody knew you were coming. You weren't going to sneak up on them. You were going to get Alabama's best punch. And I do think Alabama played very well. What would Vanderbilt's talent look like stacked up next to the best of Alabama? In the trenches up front, at the skill positions, at the quarterback positions. And it was pretty much what I thought. Alabama has more talent, but the gap isn't nearly what it used to be. And I had a feeling that I did not think I might ever have. And that was, I was disappointed. And you could feel it in Diego Pavia's voice there, and Clark Lee's voice in the aftermath of his press conference. They were disappointed that they didn't take it right to the wire because they gave Alabama the ball back a couple of key times. Those 2 turnovers, you might say in the big picture, 2 turnovers, but it was when they happened and where they happened that were daggers. If they cash in on those 2, and they didn't, right? But if they did, that game goes right to the wire. They were having trouble. I give Alabama a lot of credit. As the second half wore on, they were wearing Vanderbilt down. They started to win the battle up front. They grinded it out. They held the ball, and Vanderbilt had trouble getting off the field. But their defense, I thought, in a bend but don't break, gave them a chance to win. The offense that has been prolific to this point of the season, they're averaging close to 50 points a game. Right?
Yeah.
They thought they could score more than 14. They were very disappointed that they didn't score more than 14. And Diego Pavia, I thought he handled himself very, very well in the press conference. He was mature. He says, it's on me. he didn't play as well as he's played in just about every game he's played for Vanderbilt. Alabama had something to do with it, but Diego Pavia was not sharp in that game, and he needed to be if they were going to win.
Again, it goes back to, when you are not man for man better than the opposing team, then you can't turn the ball over, or you can't do certain things and expect to still win. Now, you hope that if you make some mistakes, that the other team make mistakes as well, but you can't always depend on that, especially when you're going down to Tuscaloosa, playing in that environment against a good Alabama team. Now, make no mistake, this was a litmus test for Alabama too. This was definitely a test for Alabama, because Vandy's a damn good team. And everybody wanted to, I think quietly, everybody wanted to find out how good Alabama was. It wasn't about how good Vandy is, because Vandy can win against LSU, and people still have their, is that Vandy? They still would be something that they would be saying about Vandy. But this was more so about Alabama. How good are you, Alabama? Because we know this Vanderbilt team is a good team. It's a solid team. Does it have a bunch of 5 stars? No. But they play together just as well as any team out there in college football, meaning playing together.
Ty Simpson, by the way,
He played very well.
Yes.
He's
hella
good.
impressive.
Yeah, that quarterback, he
on
won it.
Saturday.
Yeah, he won it
He
for
was
him.
awesome.
He won it for him. He played the way they had been expecting him to play all season. They expected him to play that way against Florida State first game of the season, but he did. He played the way they expected him to play. And Diego Pavia played the way we didn't expect him to play. We expected Diego to go out there and go toe-to-toe with Alabama. And we had no other reason but to believe that. And at times he did. There were times where there was on one play, his running back, I think it's either his running back or he threw a quick screen to somebody. Got about 20, 30 yards. He down there blocking. He's in the middle of it blocking. Like a quarterback just threw the pass. Now he's at the end of the play, 20 yards down the field in the scrum. So he was doing his part, but he didn't do his part when they needed him the most. Is in the red zone those 2 times. Because even if you get a field goal on the first one, a fumble, say you get a field goal on that one, or you get a touchdown there, but a field goal on the other one, he threw the interception to.
Yeah.
You're still up. You still had a lead. If you look at the game the way it went, you get 7 points on that fumble. You get at least 3 points on the interception he's thrown. You're in the lead. And Alabama has to play it different now.
If you told me before the game, Adam, that Alabama would score 23, which is basically what they did, they got the touchdown on the last play, I would say I'll take my chances. I think Vanderbilt can score more than 23 in that. And so Alabama, full marks. I'm very curious to see where Alabama takes this, because I do think Simpson is becoming a really high-end quarterback. The way he can extend
but their
plays
run defense
and run.
Is horrible. Alabama's run defense isn't good.
Yeah. But they got better in the second half. They did start to take away some of those big ones that Vanderbilt got. But could this be a good thing for Vanderbilt with a bye week? Because they legitimately, you hear it in Diego Pavia. It's one thing to say it, and everybody's like, oh, my God, did you hear what he said? He said national championship? Oh, people are talking about play. Like, I really believe after that game, they are going to even have more conviction and belief
that they
can play with anybody.
Exactly.
That's a tough place to play right there. Alabama hasn't lost under DeBoer there. All the games they've lost have been away from home. Home against LSU, this is going to be another. Every week they play now is going to be great theater because they're playing good teams. But what can they do? We'll see.
LSU, by the way, Derek, plays on Saturday. The Tigers host South Carolina.
Well, it's another tough game. But, okay, for instance, because I haven't heard anyone say this or been saying this about the Alabama game, and if they have been, then I just missed it. No one talks about – they just look at that score and say that was a blowout. That wasn't a blowout. They don't want to say, well, yeah, but if you really watch the game, that score isn't indicative to what I saw on the field.
Correct.
What I saw on the field was really a Vandy win That's what I saw on
That
the
was
field.
the very definition of a backdoor cover.
Exactly. That
on the
that
cover, for
30
sure.
that 30 points. Nah. If you watch the game, there were two key plays in that game. Well, really, yeah, two. Stowers had a big drop too. I don't know if that was early in the game, that crossing, deep crossing. I don't know if that was early in the game.
That was like in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
There
it
was
a big
one.
drop.
Well,
he had a big drop
yeah.
coming across the middle of the field. And it was a third down. That's what it was. It was a third down, and it stopped the drive right there. So, but even taking away that,
Stowers also did not have
he
the
didn't
kind
play
of game that he
exactly.
for what. Like if you think that Pavia and Stowers are their two best players, which you could argue
Throw
they
in
are.
the other pass catchers as well. Junior Sherrill,
Junior
Trey
Sherrill
Richardson.
didn't quite get. And so again, Alabama,
You got to give him credit.
you give them credit, but Vanderbilt, if they can get more from their star players, that's going to.
But the score isn't indicative to how that game really went because because Vandy that game was much closer, and in my mind, Vandy had their opportunities to win. They gave that game away to Alabama.
I want to know what Coach Willie was thinking when Cedric Alexander ran right up the middle for a touchdown to make it 7-0 Vanderbilt at Bryant-Denny Stadium. What was Coach Willie thinking at that moment?
Coach Willie was saying, "Long way to go."
What was Vandy fan Willie saying?
Well, they got off to the perfect start
With
when
the
you're trying to win.
Yep.
On the road like that, you get off to. That's why the fumble by Pavia was so big. They're up 7-0. If he gets just tackled on that third down, they're going to kick a field goal and go up 10-0. The other big swing I thought was Vanderbilt. You hear Clark Lee talk about it ad nauseum. The middle eight, he calls it. Last 4 minutes of the first half. First 4
that killed. Oh,
so they score to go up 14-7. You're feeling really good. Hey, offense. Alabama hadn't stopped them the whole first half. They left points on the table, but you got to lead. Alabama has no timeouts. There's less than 2 minutes to go. And Alabama, to their credit, they came up with some huge chunk plays and go down and score.
Too much field. They left too much field.
That was the disappointing. That was the one time I was disappointed in the defense.
Yes.
Was to allow them to go down and score a touchdown there.
It was almost they went away from their aggressive nature. And they just kind of set back and wanted to play it safe, didn't want to get anything over the top of their heads. And it bit them. And they end up getting big plays anyway, because when you have a lot of space like that in college, I mean, some of these guys are really good runners after the catch, and they get the ball, they're going to get an extra 10, 15 yards. But the fan Willie, I'm going to show you what the fan Willie was doing, what I was doing. I was running up and down through the house as if I went to Vanderbilt. I know my next door neighbor was like, what in the hell is he doing? I was screaming and yelling like, man, you would have thought I played there.
Let's quickly go to Alex on our phone line. Alex, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Comment. The game was closer than the score. We all agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
But the hitting, the physicality that Vanderbilt brought to the game, you watched a couple of the Alabama backs get hit, and they looked up to see what freight train run over. That's what but then again, on the Alabama side, when Pavia run that little fake draw screen or fake draw play, and they popped him twice, you could see some of the air go out of his sail.
I think that's very observant.
Yeah.
I had that same thought. It was early in the game.
Yeah, that hit
he took two really hard shots, and the second one was by an interior defensive lineman.
End came from the back. Yes.
And I do wonder if that affected his play at all. You always wonder about that.
I mean, but I'm
shots.
sure he's taken big hits before, because that's he sort of lives in that world where he's gonna take a big hit because of the way he plays. But the caller's right. Like Vandy, they came with a physicality that you are not going to. If they were going to lose this game, which ultimately they ended up did, it wasn't going to be because they wasn't physical.
By the way, John has corrected me. Alabama was favored, so it was a front door cover, not a back door cover.
Side door cover.
Thank you, John. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on Vanderbilt's loss to Alabama. Vanderbilt off this week. The Commodores return to action a week from Saturday against LSU at home. 615-737-1025. We'll get back into the Titans next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Hey, you trapped in a high rate mortgage, watching your hard earned money vanish every month. Hey, I've been talking to you about Loan Pronto for a good while now. And right now, if you got stuck with that high mortgage rate and every month you're looking at it going, oh, that's a little steep. They are delivering lower mortgage rates right now, the lowest they've been in a long time. So call and ask about Loan Pronto's rate reduction home loan program. Streamline, low cost way to slash your house payments by hundreds of dollars a month. Lock in that fixed rate, close in as little as 2 weeks, no appraisal needed in most cases, and you can skip your next two house payments all the way. So that is going to sock some money away for the holidays. So this is a great time to do it. How do you do it? You call Loan Pronto, 615 499 5780, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615 499 5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166 1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
D-Mace, Fingan, and Donick 1025, The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We are live at the Circus Sportsbook inside the Mint Gaming Hall in Franklin, Kentucky. Head up on here and watch the Chiefs face the Jaguars. That's an interesting game on Monday Night Football tonight. Plus, you can find out more details on Circus giveaway of a trip to Las Vegas for the Titans-Raiders game this coming weekend. Derek Mason will be in Las Vegas, Chase McCabe, and Big Joe Dubin as well. So if you are headed to the game in Las Vegas, make sure to catch Derek, Chase, and Big Joe this weekend. Before we move on to the Titans, we were talking about Vanderbilt's loss at Alabama, and I want to give Ricky an opportunity on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com to counteract what we've been saying about Vanderbilt. He says, and I hope, Ricky, this is not a insulting interpretation of your texts. They were who we thought they were. They might lose 5 games. Vandy gave them the game. Stop it, LOL. Bama won the game. That is technically true. Alabama did win the game. But I am curious, Ricky, what you saw that we didn't. Alabama made the plays that Vanderbilt didn't. And that is why Alabama won the game 30-14. I also do not think it is incorrect to say that the score is not indicative of the way the game played out. Diego Pavia made 2 critical errors that were the difference in the game. But for most of the game, Vanderbilt and Alabama were on a level playing field. Now, Alabama did the reverse Vandy, I guess you could say. Last year in the upset, Vanderbilt never relinquished the ball. Alabama had a significant advantage in time of possession this time around, which played into the Vanderbilt defense wearing out and then Alabama being able to take advantage. But Willie, you're our Vanderbilt alum. Respond to Ricky.
Well, I thought Vanderbilt got what they deserved in the game. Alabama was the better team on Saturday, but I think Vanderbilt, rightfully so, was disappointed walking out of there that they didn't have a chance to win it late, because I think if they executed the way they normally do and didn't have, in my opinion, the 3 big things, the 2 turnovers by Pavia and then allowing the touchdown late in the half where they had the advantage time-wise with Alabama, no timeouts. They let Alabama way too easily come down the field. So that is through the Vanderbilt prism. I'm not taking anything away from Alabama's performance at all, because I knew that Alabama was going to play their best. They were ready. They weren't like, oh, we got Vanderbilt. And when do we play Tennessee? We got Vanderbilt. They knew this was a big game, and they played like that. And Simpson is really good. I'm curious what Tennessee fans thought watching that game, because Tennessee plays both of these teams, and it's going to be very, very important how they do in those 2 games. So I'd love to hear more feedback on this. I thought it was a fascinating game because I walked away going, Vanderbilt did not play as well as they have been playing the first 5 weeks of the season, and they didn't deserve to win the game, but they were disappointed that they lost the game, which you usually didn't hear that the last, I don't know, dozen times they've been down there. They're like, oh, we gave them a good game.
Yeah.
Or, oh, man, they crushed us, man. We had no business being out on the field with them. It was a different feeling that I have ever seen in a Vanderbilt loss at Alabama.
I think it goes to they expect to win now. They expect to win. It's no longer, oh, guys, we hope to go down to Tuscaloosa
and give them a game.
Yeah, and give them a game, man. If we go down there and just stay with them for a half, a quarter, then we've had victory. No, they expected and prepared to win that game. And I look at that game and I say, I wouldn't be surprised if you looked up and you told me Vandy wins every game from here on out. I wouldn't be surprised if you looked up and told me Alabama has won every game from here on out. I saw 2 very good teams. One took advantage of another's missteps. That's all I saw. I didn't see Alabama dominating Vanderbilt. I didn't see Alabama overpowering Vanderbilt. I didn't see them just outgashing Vanderbilt at every phase. I saw two really good teams, two physical teams. One took advantage of the mistakes that the other did. The two turnovers that Diego Pavia had was the big cause of Vanderbilt losing that game in the fashion that they did. Maybe they are not leading in the late in the fourth quarter, but it's a different ball game because the score is tighter. The score is probably a 1 point game rather than what it was. If if Vanderbilt do what they had been doing, and they didn't even have to score 40 points. But if they don't have those two costly mistakes, which they hadn't had up until that point, they are in a position to force Alabama out of its comfort zone. Because at that point, they go in, they score, it's a different ball game. They're up. Now let's see what Alabama and DeBoer do when they're down in the fourth quarter. Again, Alabama won, and Alabama, if you tell me Alabama's going to win every game from here on out, they win every game, I wouldn't be surprised because that's a good team with a damn good quarterback, it seems. That seems like he's getting better. But I could say the same thing about Vandy. If you told me, if I looked up and Vandy didn't finish out the season and this was their last loss, I'd be like, okay, I expect it. It's not a surprise to me because they're a good team.
I think they're a good team. I would be stunned if they won out.
But look at their schedule.
Now Diego Pavia might not be stunned.
But look at their schedule.
Well,
like
okay,
seriously,
this is what I was going to bring up because we know Vanderbilt has got a very difficult schedule. I don't know if it still ranks number 2. I guess it fluctuates. Texas is now out of the top 25, which is shocking. They laid a big egg down in Florida, but some of this is the SEC.
Yes.
Let's just look at the matchups. Alabama is just beaten Georgia at Georgia, just withstood the challenge of Vanderbilt. Now they get to go to Missouri. They are a 2.5-point favorite. Alabama is at Missouri. Missouri is a darn good team. Missouri comes to Vanderbilt in a couple of weeks. Then you've got Oklahoma at Texas. Texas is still favored in this game somehow.
Well, Oklahoma's
quarterback has the issue. That's a weird one. Tennessee's is a double-digit favorite against Arkansas. They should win that one. Tennessee's got the easiest schedule, I think, of a lot of these contenders. But I'm just illustrating the dogfight you have every week in this league. So the texter that was flexing for Alabama, and he said Vanderbilt could lose 5. Yeah, Vanderbilt they could win 4 or 5 remaining, but they could also lose 4 or 5. I don't doubt that at all. They're going to have to play high level each week. Florida just beat Texas. They go to Texas A&M. Georgia is a 3.5-point favorite at Auburn. Auburn is not ranked. Georgia is number 10. That's a tough game. South Carolina at LSU. I'm really intrigued about that one, especially with LSU coming here next Saturday. There's so many good teams. You cannot drop your guard in this league, or you will lose.
The Tennessee Titans rally to defeat the Arizona Cardinals 22-21 in Glendale, Arizona. An improbable win for the Tennessee Titans, who looked dead in the water before the Arizona Cardinals running back decided to let go of the ball before he crossed the goal line, and that's where everything changed. Instead of being 27-6 pending the extra point for the Cardinals, the Titans come all the way back and win on the game-winning field goal as time expires to win 22-21. And as I said at the start of the show, the beauty of that hideous game was that we got to see Cam Ward in a high-pressure situation, and he delivered. 13 of 18 in the fourth quarter for 193 yards, 5 of 6 for 67 yards in the 2-minute drill. And here's the question I have for all of you at 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. How much of a confidence boost did Cam Ward's game-winning drive give you in terms of how you're feeling about Cam Ward? You can't ignore what happened in the first 4 games or the first 3 quarters of the game yesterday. Cam Ward is still the least accurate passer among qualified quarterbacks in the NFL. He is completing 53.8% of his passes. Again, that is the worst mark among qualified quarterbacks in the NFL. But what you saw in the fourth quarter from Cam Ward, does that make you feel any better about his trajectory, or was it a sugar rush, so to speak? A great feeling. The Titans won a game. It's been a long ass time since they won a game. He looked great. Are you just feeling that vibe, that high right now? Or are you really feeling better about what Cam Ward can be based on what you saw yesterday? 615-737-1025. Here's something that I wanted to look up before the show. So as I mentioned, Cam Ward is completing 53.8% of his passes, the worst among qualified quarterbacks in the NFL. But Pro Football Focus has a statistic called adjusted completion percentage, which takes into account factors outside of the quarterback's control. It accounts for dropped passes, passes thrown away, spiked balls, passes batted at the line of scrimmage, and passes in which a quarterback was hit as he threw. PFF says it gives a real indication of completion percentage on passes that can actually be caught. Cam Ward's adjusted completion percentage is 64.6%. Again, his actual completion percentage, 53.8. His adjusted, 64.6. But that 64.6% is still the worst among qualified quarterbacks in the NFL. So
it's not good.
No, it's not good. It's better than his actual completion percentage by a significant margin,
but relatively
the worst in the NFL stuff.
Okay.
So
I think that would be a little surprising to hear for some that it's that low, just because we've been sitting here saying they don't protect him very well, they don't have great wide receivers, etc. Right? But so that tells you that there's still a lot of room to grow in his game, aside from the surrounding talent.
Of course, there are things he need to get better at. Also, it can expedite it if his guys are doing their job.
Yes.
I think it looks much different if those catchable balls were actually caught, because it's not just about your percentage. It's about what it's doing for the actual drive. Is it extending the drive, killing the drive? Is it scoring a potential touch? It's all it. If you're not watching the game and you just see the drops, then you say, okay, they dropped the ball, whatever, or the completion rate. But if you see, well, if he had those back and they were at certain times in the game, how does it affect the game? A big drop by Manor, or the elbow pass where he gets his elbow in and he don't challenge it. How does that change that drive if indeed they do get that big play? So that's what it's about.
Yeah, because it could lead to a series of other good things.
Absolutely.
It's missed opportunities beyond the play. That's
beyond
the
play. Yes.
Yeah.
Joey from Bellevue on our text line says it was a sugar rush. Levis did the same thing against Miami, and he turned out to be ass.
Well, what's interesting is Levis's stats are considerably better than Ward after the same amount of games.
That seems like a research project.
Well, go ahead. I'm pretty sure that it's because Cam Ward's numbers for the season are still so low. If you take a look at his passing stats, like you said, the completion percentage and all that, but his QBR is 19.5. Like, it's not good. And that does lead me to one other thing I'm noticing. It's 19.8 right now, Cam Ward. 1-4, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His passer rating is only 64, and that grade's very, very low. But the QBR is concerning to me, because one thing I am noticing that I would like to see improvement is escapability and using his mobility to run. But the more I watch, I don't know that he's got that in his arsenal. D. Mason, I'm curious what you see there, because there are times where he's making the right decision to slide up in the pocket, but then there's a moment where, okay, hit the burner and go, or make your throw, or, okay, it's time to run and get this first down. And there's not a lot of success right there. His running numbers are almost non-existent. He's getting nothing And that's part of the reason why that QBR is so low.
Yeah, the problem is, and is it a problem? No, but I think it would help his game.
Does he
I
have
don't.
it though? Can he? Is
I
he
think
physically able to run?
I think he physically. I think he's fast enough to get the yardage that you need. But like Deshaun Watson, like CJ Stroud a little bit. They don't want to run. That's not what they want to
Yeah.
do. They want to throw. He's almost like a throwback to Warren Moon. Like Warren Moon never ran the football.
Never ran. Never
Like he
ran.
didn't have to. Like he believed in his arm so much in the offense that he was going to get it away somehow, some way, find a way. Patrick Mahomes really don't want to run, but he knows now, like, in order to win, I got to pick and choose my spots to run.
But he's so good
But
at
he's
it.
so
when
good at-
he
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
That's
But I
what
think
that's what
Cam
I'm
is-
waiting to see that from Ward, and I don't
think
see
Cam
that.
I think Cam is good enough to get the yardage you need if it's there. But I think it's so ingrained in his mind, I think, just to be a passer, because there was a play during the game where he stood in the pocket for like 4 seconds. Like he could have ran right up the middle, but for some reason he didn't want to. And he ended up throwing it away. I'm like, that was but he's not looking to run he want to make plays down the field. That's his whole big thing. He wants to make plays through the air. For some reason, and maybe that's something that Brian Callahan needs to talk to him about. Like, listen, I understand that your the most valuable thing is your availability. We get that. But there's going to be opportunities in games. You're going to have to run. You take off and run. Forget it. I know you want to make a play down, but take what the defense gives you. And if that's a 4-yard, 5-yard run, then take it.
How many scramble attempts do you think Cam Ward has through his first 5 NFL games?
Hardly any.
He probably, he actually ran one, and they brought that one back. Well, 2. He had 2. He had a first down on one, along when they end up bringing back. They call him back because of a penalty. So I count 2.
The NFL is giving him credit for 9 scrambles through 5 weeks.
9?
3 against the Rams, 3 against the Colts, 2 against the Texans, 1 against the Cardinals.
So that's not a very high number,
I would assume.
But do they call it scrambling trying to run, or is he just scrambling outside of
how
the
many
pocket?
just regular rushing attempts does he have?
He has 0 designed rush attempts.
Yeah.
9 scrambled rush attempts.
Right. And so those are his 9 rushing attempts total?
Yes.
Okay.
He's not. I'm telling you, he's not looking to run the foot. He want to make a
for
play.
how many yards? How many yards does
He's
he have
not
on
getting
the
much
9?
yards. He probably got 10 yards, 20 yards.
Of course, I just closed it after you asked me that question. Hold on, I'll get it back quickly.
I think I can find it too.
I have it. He against the Rams, 3 scrambles for 7 yards. Colts 3 scrambles for 12 yards. Texans 2 scrambles for 22 yards. Cardinals 1 scramble for 2 yards.
So he's got 36 yards rushing. Is that right?
No, I don't know how the NFL is coming up with this. I am just going off of off the NFL's website.
His official rushing yards are, let's see, 42 minus 6. That's 36 yards rushing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has a total. So scrambles are in a different category, obviously, than something here. So my point is 36 yards rushing. Think for 5 games. That's not a weapon.
No,
at
it's
all.
not.
And that doesn't mean he can't be a great quarterback. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, there's plenty of guys that don't do. I just thought that would be something that I would see, because there's 2 ways to do it. And Steve McNair was so good at both. He could run when he needed to run. He could also extend a play, the escape ability to extend a play and then make a play throwing the ball. That was a huge weapon for him. And that's what I want to see more of. Okay, whether he runs for the yards or not, I want to see him extend plays and then make positive plays. I'm not seeing enough positivity there. There are times that they get him down too easy.
Well, I mean,
go ahead, Derek.
No, quickly. There has been a few times where he's been able to get out of the pocket, but you would see more of that, I think, Willie, if once he gets out of that first initial tackle that he looks to run. when he gets out of that first, he looks to throw the ball again. He's trying to find his bearings so he can throw the ball again. And then what happens? He ends up getting hit by somebody else instead of just taking off and running.
615-737-1025. Here is my question for all of you at that phone number. Call us and text us, 615-737-1025. Did Cam Ward's late game heroics give you any sort of confidence boost in how you are feeling about Cam Ward and his trajectory as an NFL quarterback early in his career? Or was it just a sugar rush? A hell of a performance at the end of the game by Cam Ward. The Titans won. That feels good, but it's nothing more than that. Let me know. 615-737-1025. Our show is proudly presented by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate right now at baxhomeworks.com.
I think
They
I'm
seem to
over.
have
What's that?
trouble dialing in for a good share of the game.
Mhm.
And obviously, when you guys took over, he found it.
Yeah.
What was the difference?
I think he just had some struggles early, and fought his way through it, which I think is what you have to do as a quarterback in this league. Is not every quarter is going to go your way, and every half's going to go your way. And he just got reminded at halftime, just put your eyes where they're supposed to be and make the throws. And that's what he did in the second half. And that was he worked his way out of a particularly slow start of the game and made the plays when we needed it.
That was Brian Callahan addressing Cam Ward after the Titans win 22-21 against the Arizona Cardinals yesterday. The Titans' first win in nearly a calendar year. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. My question for all of you at 615-737-1025. How much confidence, or excuse me, how much of a confidence boost, if any, did Cam Ward's game-winning drive give you in terms of his trajectory as an NFL quarterback in his early NFL career? 615-737-1025. Let's go to our phone line. Mike, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
You know what? This is a big movement for Cam Ward. And the way he did it, there's no way he cannot feel even more confident in himself after the first 4 games. And so I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl. No way. But what I'm saying is that for Cam Ward's confidence, this was a great game for him in the fourth quarter, and therefore it's going to carry forward.
Thank you for the call, Mike.
Thank you. I hope it does carry forward because this team is going to need it. Even after going through, and a lot of it was self-inflicted, but even after going through all of that, they found a crack, and they were able to, make that crack, a dam. They broke it open.
Yeah, I think once
and that's
you've
what
done
you're
it,
supposed to do in that opportunity.
we all
in that situation.
suspected he had the ability to do that, but until you do it, I think that sees to it that it will be easier for him to do the next time because now he knows he can do it. We were all curious. Adam, you said it first yesterday. As soon as they got that the ball back. By the way, another thing in the perfect storm of the Cardinals. What was the line by Kyler Murray? How to blow a game 101?
How to lose a game 101.
How to blow a game 101.
You don't want to be the teacher in that class.
No.
You don't want to be the
No.
professor
No.
in how to lose a game 101.
But part of the equation was on the football follies snap that nobody saw, and it hit Kyler Murray right in the nose, and it was a fumble. I guess he had hurt his foot right before that, and so he clearly couldn't run. So that hurt their chances. I'm thinking this is a play or two or a series made for Kyler Murray running around, not throwing it, but running for a first down and chewing up clock. But he clearly they went into a shell, and as soon as they got the ball back, Adam was like, well, this is a great test. This is what everybody wants to see. Can Cam Ward lead them down the field on this drive? And he got there easy. He did it easy, really.
Yeah.
What's interesting is Mike, who just called us, appears to be alone in his thoughts about the confidence building. Yes. Yeah. One texter says, yesterday's game actually made me start to worry about Cam Ward. That win, in quotations, was BS. Cam was inaccurate and made poor decisions and continues to throw dumb interceptions. We won the game because a third-string running back dropped the ball and a linebacker fumbled an interception into the end zone.
Okay. I want people to really start sitting down and just thinking, because what you just spewed, with all due respect, and you know what's coming after that, with all due respect, was just totally inaccurate. It is. Stop listening to too many people when they talk, because again, that last pass, that was a tip ball. Go back. He wasn't even it. It was tipped so severely that he wasn't even trying to throw it to Gunnar Helm out of it, and it got to where Gunnar Helm was. I understand at the end of the day it was an interception, but it's not like had that been a perfect ball without anyone tipping it, that wouldn't have, at best, wouldn't have been an incomplete pass. Like that would have been either an incomplete pass or a knockdown or a touchdown. That wouldn't have been a turnover. But because the ball got tipped in the air, and it wasn't because it was a reckless throw, he saw a guy in the end zone, and he was trying to get it to him. The ball was tipped, people. I don't that's the part that sometimes I just don't understand. Like we all are watching the same thing, but yet and still we all come up with different things, like different excuses on why something happened. But we're all watching the same thing. He rolled out, trying to make a play, saw a guy down the field, threw it, it got tipped, and it got intercepted. Should have. I wish it wouldn't have happened. Wish it wouldn't have happened, but it did. But that wasn't like some reckless throw. It wasn't a reckless throw. Had the ball got into there to the guy he was looking for, everybody would have been screaming, "Oh, that was a great pass! Look at Cam Ward." That's the part that sometimes it just irritates me. Like, just go back and watch the game. Like some of this stuff, I think people look too deep on it, and they take one person and what one person says, and all of a sudden now that was the whole premise of the play. When in actuality, yeah, it was an interception. You're right, but it wasn't because he threw it in Ridley was covered by three guys and he still threw it in there.
I like that he persevered through the tough stuff and experienced success. Like he's not just persevered for the first 3 quarters of the game yesterday. He's really persevered through
the whole season,
4 3/4 games.
Yeah.
Right. Not a lot's going well. He's got another statistical game where it's going to look ugly, and he rises up. And so you have to hope that is just a step on the stairs, maybe a couple steps, right, where he's broken through a barrier and experienced success. That's what I'm optimistic about.
One texter says, after seeing Cam let loose when the Titans had no choice but to be aggressive, I am upset at how conservative the Titans play calling has been to this point.
Conservative?
I mean, I think you have to they only can run what they are capable of running. And we saw in the first 4 games, even though the offensive line I felt blocked better this past game, but I thought the other games, they had their troubles. And when you have your troubles, when you start to have offensive line troubles, everything else becomes secondary. All that stuff becomes secondary. Why? Because you got to protect your quarterback. So I may want to call that play, but I can't because we don't have enough time to throw it. So I think they want to be, instead of saying them being, let's say, more aggressive, I like what they did this week. They were more multiple.
Yes, they diversified their approach.
Absolutely.
They showed different looks. They went bigger. They went with 2 running backs at times. They went with 2 tight ends more. They went with 3 tight ends at times. They went under center a way higher percentage time. Now, as far as conservative, D-Mace, you make the point. You have to be able to say, can I block with what I have? And that is another thing. J.C. Latham, I heard Brian Callahan say today, he's getting closer. He stopped short of saying he'll be back this week, but he was asked about the offensive line. And I just happened to see this on the ticker, Adam, on Monday night. You love stats like this. I think it was ESPN Stats and Info was the source. They said that was the best grade that the Titans offensive line in pass protection had since 2019.
Oh, wow.
2019. It looked better yesterday. Of course, they weren't facing the Rams front. They weren't facing the Broncos front. But if I'm Brian Callahan, I'm saying, okay, how do I survive? How can I dig out of this hole and get back into a conversation where I'm going to stick around past this year? One of the things that's got to happen is, he said it, Skoronski's playing good football. Cushenberry's starting to play more. He's been in there. He hasn't lapsed. He's playing more. Dan Moore played better yesterday. He says Zeitler is playing well. The last piece is to get who should be the highest ceiling of any guy you have on the offense, like J.C. Latham back. So the pathway back to a conversation where he remains the coach is, can I get my offensive line playing like this every week? That's going to give Cam a chance. So many good things will happen if they could get to that, because it's been a disaster up until yesterday. Yesterday it wasn't a disaster.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your thoughts on Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans, who finally won a game thanks to the Arizona Cardinals.
Assist.
Yes, they asked to. They truly are. 615-737-1025. We'll wrap up the show next with some Predators news as well. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Ving at 1025 The Game.
Derek Mason here. And if you injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose with calling Law Tiger. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible or frankly nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW Tigers or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace, Vingen, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen here with you. We are live at the Circus Sportsbook in Franklin, Kentucky, ahead of tonight's Monday Night Football matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that's going to be a fascinating game.
If it's like every Chiefs game, it's going to go down to the last 2 minutes, and Patrick Mahomes will have the ball with like 1 minute left, needing a field goal to win.
And then get a field goal. And that's what happened. But Jacksonville, listen, Jacksonville, this may be the year. And it would be because I didn't pick them to win the division. I picked Indy. Y'all picked Jacksonville.
We both picked Jacksonville.
This would be the year Jacksonville puts it all together, and they resemble more of what they thought they were going to be when they drafted Trevor Lawrence than what they have been. So this game is going to be a litmus test for them. Because man, oh man, this is they're playing at Kansas. Are they in KC or
it's in Jacksonville?
It's at Jacksonville. Okay, well that's a plus for Jacksonville. But Jacksonville, listen, they have talent. Jacksonville isn't a team that is devoid of talent. They got a bunch of it. It's just they haven't been able to put it all together. Guys been injured. They've had wacky head coaches. And then when you thought they had the right head coach, he and the quarterback just seemed like they were not on the same page, and the quarterback was often injured while he was there. So they're hoping that, with Liam Cohen, they got this thing all put together. And it seems like, they are far from the Jacksonville Jaguar team that they have been the last couple of years.
Duval.
Oh God. Let's hope Liam Cohen doesn't try to
I
fight
can't
any
wait till they play the Titans. I want that played on a loop
every day. I may call out sick that week. Oh, stop! I may call out sick that week. Let's hope Liam Cohen doesn't try to fight any defensive coordinator. Steve Spagnuolo versus Liam Cohen at center field or at midfield tonight. I'm thinking about baseball for some reason. How about those Blue Jays, huh? As I saw the Blue Jays pouring it on the Yankees over the weekend, my first thought was, it's karma for Paul Kaharski being awful mean to you on Friday. He got what he deserved.
He laid it on thick, and they got smoked twice by the Blue Jays. Toronto was going nuts. We love listening to Elliot Friedman's podcast every week, and so that is a big buzz in Toronto right now. They've still got to win one more. They got to go back to New York now, but that was impressive by the Jays. Right now, Mookie Betts is at the plate. The Dodgers in the twilight doubleheader of National League Division Series. Dodgers trying to go up 2-0 in Philadelphia.
What was that word?
A twilight doubleheader.
Twilight?
Twilight?
Yeah.
What is the
What does
twilight?
that mean?
It's kind of old school. They used to now.
I know Twilight, but Twilight?
Twilight. They used to play more scheduled doubleheaders in Major League Baseball, and when they play, even if it was a makeup, they would just play them. You get two for the price of one.
Okay.
Now they don't want to give up the money, so they play a day-night doubleheader.
Okay.
But they used to call them the twilight doubleheader, where you have an early evening start
and then a late one.
Okay. So tonight it's Phillies-Dodgers going on right now, an early evening start. Dodgers won the first game. And then the Cubs-Brewers tonight, big rivalry. Brewers poured it on and buried the Cubs in the first game. We'll see what happens in game two.
The Nashville Predators, within the past 30 minutes, announced their season opening roster. Of course, the Predators opened the regular season on Thursday at Bridgestone Arena against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Of course, we will be there, as will Robbie and Rexroad and Jake Lyman. I think Chase and Big Joe may be at the Omni, but we'll mostly all be at Bridgestone Arena for Thursday, and we're looking forward to that. A reminder, Barry Trotz, speaking of the roster, Barry Trotz will join our program tomorrow at 5 o'clock for the first of many weekly conversations with the Predators GM this season. So Barry Trotz live on DVD at 5 o'clock tomorrow. No real surprises on the Predators opening night roster. I think the headline here is that Brady Martin, the 18-year-old Brady Martin, the Predators' top draft pick, easy for me to say, just a few months ago, has made the opening night roster.
Oh, wow.
If we assume, and I think it's a safe assumption, that Brady Martin plays on Thursday against the Blue Jackets, he will be the second youngest player in Predators history at the time of his NHL debut. Scott Hartnell, the only player younger than Brady Martin when Hartnell made his Predators debut 25 years ago.
What do you think about that, Willie? I mean, a young guy being on the active roster, ready to go.
I mean, he's a college freshman, basically, the age of a college true freshman.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like Mahoney making the Predators roster, basically.
Mahoney's older. Mahoney's older than Brady Martin. Wow. I mean, currently, that's what's crazy. Ask Mahoney. Mahoney's growing up loving the Predators. There's actually a player younger than him. That's crazy.
Wow.
But I would say it's not a total shock. Not a total shock. It's surprising to me. I did not think he would get to this, but it's to his credit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that is becoming something of momentum right now is it really appears, Adam, that they are thinking about taking this beyond the 9 games. I want to see, is he going to play every night? If he plays well in the first game, will they put him back out there the second game? Because remember, 9 games, you have to decide, are you sending him back to junior?
Okay.
Or is he here for the whole year? And I still think that is a lot to ask for a kid who's that young.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, though, they played a very good game against Carolina on Saturday, where both teams played pretty much their whole lineup.
Mhm.
So it was, Carolina's a really good team. Martin looks like he belongs right
Okay.
now. Now, it's going to be different, and it's going to be different in December. It's going to be very different in March. So that grind is going to be a question. But I do think that they are considering things beyond how do we do this? And because I think Martin has even surprised them. The other distinction on the roster right now, Adam, is Luke Evangelista is still not on the roster. He's designated as immigration. There's paperwork, I guess. So I wonder if he will be in there on opening night. They don't have to send anybody else down or waive anybody else. But do you think Evangelista is in the lineup on Thursday? Because you got Kimmel, who was the hero on Saturday. He had one of the best hits you'll ever see. He leveled Svechnikov and then turns around and scores the game-winning goal. So it's like he made a statement. I need to be in there opening night. But Evangelista, if he's going to play, he's got to knock somebody out. Who does he knock out?
I would not play Luke Evangelista on Thursday. Today was his first day of practice with the team. He was on the ice at Centennial Sportsplex, and he missed all of the preseason games, I should say, missed weeks of training camp because of the contract stalemate. Personally, I would not put him in game one. I would allow Joachim Kemmel. So today when they were practicing, if I recall correctly, Kemmel and Evangelista were rotating on the right wing spot on the second line with Steven Stamkos and Fedor Svechkov. So if Evangelista plays, he's probably going in that spot in place of Kemmel. I think Kemmel has earned the right to be on the ice on opening night. I would not put Luke Evangelista in the opening night on the opening night lineup.
It's an intriguing decision because, D-Mace, you know that in Andrew Burnett's mind, that's the consideration, but the biggest consideration is they have to get off to a better start. Because the last 2 years they've gotten off to dreadful starts. They dug out of it 2 years ago. They never dug out of the 0-5 start last year. This opener is more important than recent openers, where you kind of know you're good. It's 82 games. We'll get in there. They've got to get off.
They got to start off fast, and they have to show improvement very quickly, if nothing for their fan base. But I'm with Adam. It's just something about a guy not practicing with you as much, not playing with you during the preseason,
even for a business decision.
Even for a business decision like this, I would like for him to, kind of get a week of good practice in. Because listen, you haven't been here. He has. He's been working with the second unit. We can put him in. We know pretty much what we're getting because we've already played preseason games. So they seem like they got this little flow going, whatever it is. I don't want to mess that up right now. Get yourself into hockey condition, and at least not this game, maybe the next game or the third game. Then we can kind of, depending on who is his backup, or who would be starting in place of him.
So you've got options. You've got Brady Martin is looks like he's.
I'm saying right now
you've got Joachim Kemmel, who's young, but he's a first round pick. He's a prospect.
But if they gone with,
and then you could play them all and sit a guy like Ozzy Weisblatt, who's another guy who's had he's earned a chance to be on the opening night roster. So,
but if I'm doing that, then Joachim Kemmel, he's starting. He's on that second unit, and I will slowly work in Evangelista, because I'm afraid if you just throw him out there, he's going to end up getting hurt.
All right, here is a great one for D-Mace to put him in a bad mood. Did you see what they just put up there on the screen?
No,
on the Monday night countdown.
I was turned looking at you.
Yeah. They were just talking about Travis Hunter for the Jags tonight, and they said Liam Cohen. Can we get the cue again, David, on Liam Cohen?
Guess he'll hear us.
There we go. So, Mr. Cohen, he says Travis Hunter is already the best blocking wide receiver on the team. D-Base loves Do you hear, guys?
Listen. If people know me, that's like my pet. Like, oh, that makes me just ooh. It's just
They
like,
had it on the big graphic right in front of you. I can't believe you didn't see it.
What pick was he?
The second.
Okay, all right. Did he win the Heisman?
Yes.
Oh, he won the
He
Heisman
did, he did.
too. And didn't they draft him because he could play two positions?
Yes.
Don't get on here talking about he can. That means he hasn't been doing the things you want him to do on offense. He's a damn good block. You didn't draft him. If you you should have drafted a damn offensive lineman then, if that's the case. Him block. Stop it, people. You picked him second in the draft. This man won a Heisman. He could play both wide receiver and defensive back. But you get on here and talk about, well, he's the best blocker we got. Well, thank you, Liam Cohen. All right. We didn't want to hear that.
Quickly, let's get Derek to calm down a little bit before we leave. There was one huge piece of news in the NHL today.
Yes, there was.
Connor McDavid re-signed with the Edmonton Oilers. 2 years, $25 million. So 2 years with a cap hit of $12.5 million, which, if I'm not mistaken, Willie, is the same cap hit he's been playing with for the past 8 years.
Hey, what did that other guy get last week?
Kirill Kaprizov
17.
got $17 million per season.
Is he the best player in hockey?
No.
Who's the best player in hockey?
Connor McDavid.
Thank you. Okay. All right. I'm just saying. Connor McDavid, I get why you.
Willie
I would
said
be mad at
he's
you.
pulling the Tom Brady. He's taking
I
less to
get
help
it.
his team win.
But in a sport with a hard salary cap, you got to at least take a little more than what you took, what you have been making.
He's not even the highest paid player on his own team right
you
now.
got to at least for the guy next to you. Like you got, and I know it's only a 2-year deal, so he can come back. And I think on that second one, whoever wants him, they're gonna have to pay him 17, 18, 19 million dollars per year. They're gonna have to pay him that. He's giving a discount now, but if I'm one of the elite players out there, my contract, I'm like, dude, why?
Right. So if let's say you are Jack Eichel's agent, or you're Jack Eichel, that is going to be the thing. Is hey, he wants to win. Okay, yeah, everybody wants to win.
Exactly.
And so now all the superstar players are probably going to be faced with this, where the team's going to say, hey, look, you want to win? Hey, Connor McDavid, he's the best player in the game. He took less.
Hey.
He didn't take a dime of a raise. Like, just take a little bit. At least take what Draisaitl got. Like, I get it. He wants to win and leave space for because they have not had a deep enough roster to win. That's what he's doing for them. His loyalty is very admirable. I'm all about loyalty, but
yes.
But you got to be a little bit loyal to the Players Association,
exactly,
right?
Man. You didn't dumped on the Players Association with that one.
I mean, I'll take some of it. The money he left on the table, I'd be happy to take
They
it.
have room to sign you and D-Mace.
Exactly.
I would be happy to take it. But that'll do it for us today. Come on out to the Circa Sportsbook inside the Mint Gaming Hall in Franklin, Kentucky to watch Monday Night Football. Chiefs at Jags. We will be live at 3 o'clock tomorrow. A reminder, Barry Trotz, Predators GM, first interview of the season on our show tomorrow, live at 5 o'clock. But until then, we'll talk to you tomorrow at 3.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team love you. You hear that music. You know what time it is. Don't you ever forget about us, because tomorrow we will be back right at 3 o'clock waiting on you. Peace.